All right, last thing I want to ask you. I've read all of your positions that I can find, I think, on TikTok. I understand your concerns about the First Amendment and competition. The problem I have is this. The DNI, the Director of National Intelligence, says that TikTok poses a national security threat to the United States. It will interfere in our elections. It is owned by the Chinese government. I'm all for competition. I'm all for free speech. I just don't believe you give your enemies a foothold into your camp. And right now, TikTok is collecting data on every single American to use against them. They're sending propaganda.
So's Google and so's Facebook. All of big tech is collecting our data, and I'm not for any of it. I'm not a big fan of any of them collecting our data, but I am a fan of freedom and the First Amendment. I think that you shouldn't. 180 million Americans puts dance videos up there. People have businesses up there. And the ownership really isn't the Chinese Communist government. There's an international board of owners on this. There are Americans that own part of TikTok. They've also made a good faith effort to go through. We have something called CFIUS, which is an elaborate sort of process that the government goes through to try to set up an American board. They've also spent nearly $1 billion trying to set up on an Oracle platform in Texas the data to try to protect against the complaints. So it's not like they're not listening to the complaints. They're trying to do everything they possibly can to comply. But look at it this way. If we're going to ban ownership and we're going to say this company can't exist, what if you invest with a company in Saudi Arabia? I'm not a big fan of the Saudis. They chopped up a journalist and threw his body parts out in the forest in Turkey. And so should we ban you doing, I'm not saying you, but a person doing business with Saudi Arabia because they do this? Much of the Middle East will kill homosexuals, and it's a death penalty for homosexuality. That's something that we don't agree with. They treat women like shit. Are we going to end up having bans on doing business with those people? How about the Vietnamese? They're a bunch of commies too. Are we going to say you can't do business with the Vietnamese? So there is no end to bad people out there. And I think we're headed towards economic isolationism. I've got no love for the Chinese government. I think that the virus came out of Wuhan. I think not one penny should go to them. We shouldn't help them in any way. But I'm not for an embargo of China, and I'm not for banning. You also have to think of the Americans involved with this. There's international investors and Americans that are not Chinese in this. You're going to take their property without due process. Because if you tell me I have to sell something, let's say I have to sell something in 1 month, what do you think the value happens on day 30 of that, or day 29 of that? You basically steal all the value, and it would go for a yard sale. And I just don't think that's right. And the same sort of anger people have towards TikTok, I've got towards Facebook and YouTube. But I'm consistent in the sense that I've never asked for breaking up Google. I've never asked for breaking up Facebook. And I've never asked to force them to take my stuff. Right. People need to realize also that TikTok is banned in China. So we're going to somehow protect ourselves from China by doing exactly what China's doing. China doesn't like TikTok. TikTok's got a lot of criticism on it of China. That's why they're banned in China. I just don't like bans. I don't like taking people's property. There's the Fifth Amendment protections to taking people's property. But ultimately, the strongest argument is 180 million Americans, you're going to take away their right to post on there. And people say, oh, we're not doing that. They just have to change ownership. Well, what if they don't exist? What if you destroy the company in the process of this and all the business goes to Facebook? Are we going to be really happy we rewarded Zuckerberg over this? So, no, I couldn't be more opposed to this ban. I may be in the minority, but I'll continue to fight against it.
Okay. Always respect your consistency and your principle. Senator Rand Paul, thanks for being with us.
Thank you.